A client came to me with chronic back pain. She had been through the doctors, the scans, the medications, the exercises, but nothing explained the intensity of what she was feeling and nothing helped. The pain kept growing year after year. She was frustrated, confused, and exhausted from trying. So we started talking about her symptoms and then slowly shifted. We started talking about her life, her family, and some of the things that she had been carrying for years. And then she suddenly stopped talking. She looked at me, put her hand on her back, and said, "That's strange. My pain just became much worse." She hadn't moved, she hadn't stood up, and she hadn't done anything physically different. The only thing that had changed was the conversation. That moment stayed with me because it raises a question I couldn't stop thinking about. Can our bodies hold on to experiences that our minds tried so hard to move on from? I am Dr. Selma, a former NHS doctor who currently support women with chronic unexplained symptoms and conditions. And today I want to talk about something that I wish someone had explained to me years ago. Sometimes our bodies ends up holding what we never felt safe enough to feel or express. If that's true, why would simply talking about someone's life make the physical pain worse? To answer that, we have to go right back to the beginning because most of us were never really taught what to do with difficult emotions. We were taught maths, science, problem solving, how to think, how to behave, but very few of us were taught how to actually feel. Instead, many of us grow up hearing things like, "Don't cry, it's not a big deal. Stop being so dramatic. Be strong. Men don't cry. Women are too emotional. Just get on with it. Don't get angry." So, whether people meant well or not, the message was often the same. The message that the child is receiving is that some emotions did not feel safe to express. So we adapted. We pushed them down. We swallowed the anger. We hid the grief. We brushed off the disappointment. And we put a mask on and we smiled. And we carried on. Because that's what we thought, that's what we perceived that we had to do. But here is the thing. Just because emotion disappears from your awareness, it does not mean that it disappears from your nervous system or from your body. They don't just evaporate because we ignored them. They need to be processed. And when they aren't, sometimes they show up as physical symptoms and the body starts speaking on our behalf. So, where do those feelings go? So, our nervous system isn't just paying attention to what's happening around us, it's constantly paying attention to what's happening inside of us as well. And when difficult emotions never really get processed, so the nervous system stays proactive and alert. And the longer it stays in that state, the more it begins to affect your body. And when I looked back to my client's story, it wasn't just her back, because she had as well a neck pain, shoulder pain, and then IBS, different symptoms, different parts of the body, but underneath them, the same nervous system that got stuck in a survival state. And that doesn't mean that her symptoms were imagined or not real. Far from it. Her pain was completely real. Her digestive symptoms were real. Everything she was expressing was real. But what it suggested was something different. Instead of the symptoms being driven by ongoing structural damage, her nervous system had become stuck in a protective state. And when that happens, the body can start expressing what the person has never had the chance to express. And sometimes that looks like tight muscles that never seem to relax, or a pain, or digestive symptoms, or crushing fatigue. Everyone's body speaks in different ways, but the message underneath can be surprisingly similar. And when those emotions are not expressed, they do not vanish, they get stored in the body. And sometimes they might show up for some people as physical symptoms like chronic pain, chronic fatigue, digestive issues. And this is what we call somatization, where there is no structural damage, but it's just that emotional stress is coming out. I call it like it's an explosion. It's the output of what the body has been holding for a long time. Now, you might be wondering what happened next to my client. What was fascinating is when she begins giving space to what her body was carrying, once those emotions finally had somewhere to go or to be heard, her pain started to soften instantly. Not because we treated her back, not we never touched her back. We simply created enough safety for her body to begin expressing what had been held inside for years. Now, that doesn't mean that every symptom disappears in just one session. Absolutely not. It certainly didn't for me. And it doesn't for most of my clients either, because healing is linear and it's like a layer. And when you start peeling off those layers, layer by layer, that's what the recovery happens. But this is a reminder that sometimes the body is not asking us to fight it. And actually what happens when we fight, you say like the what you resist persists, but it's just asking us to finally listen to what's underneath. So if you spent years trying to silence your symptoms, so maybe the question is not how do I get rid of my symptoms, but rather what is my body trying to communicate to me? Or what's my body holding that I've never expressed before? And let's end with that. Emotions that never had the space to be felt, they don't simply disappear. I'm repeating that again. They get stored, and at some point, the body begins responding to what it has been carrying, to what you couldn't say, to what you couldn't feel, to what you couldn't express, to everything your voice was never safe enough to express. And that's not a weakness. This is what happens when the body has been carrying too much for too long. In the next video, we are going to talk about something never, as we said, many of us were never taught, is to how actually feel an emotion without suppressing it and also without being overwhelmed by it. Because healing isn't about forcing emotions out. It's about creating enough safety for your nervous system to finally let them move through. If you are a woman struggling with chronic unexplained symptoms or conditions like ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, IBS, I've created a free guide called When the Tests Are Normal But Your Body Says Otherwise. It's a guide that I wish I had when I was struggling with my health and got stuck in that push and crush cycle. It will help you understand what's happening in your body, the energy leaks and the patterns that keep you stuck. And you can find the link in the description below. Subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming videos, and I will see you there.